Aloha and welcome to Hope for Hawaii, a heartfelt podcast series. Created by Sara, a stress expert with roots in Hawaii and residing on the ninth island of Las Vegas. Her deep connection to both places has woven a unique tapestry of inspiration, love, and support for our Hawaiian community.
Welcome to Hope for Hawaii. I'm your host and stress expert, Sara. We are here to offer a guiding light through this dark time. Our podcast, Hope for Hawaii, is a heartfelt endeavor, born to inspire those affected by the Maui fires and anyone else navigating adversity. Through heartwarming stories, our storytellers will give practical tools, help nurture you, and help you create resilience and foster a strong sense of community. And for those who share the spirit of aloha. Enjoy Hope for Hawaii. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hope for Hawaii Limited Series podcast. We are very thrilled to be able to have our next guest here. I met him, maybe about a year ago now. Seems like it. The time just flies by when so much is happening and so much has gone on. We've had some really great times together, and we've also been a part of and interacted with so many people that have had challenges over the last year, facing many challenges like you guys have for the fires in Hawaii. As you start to clean up and rebuild, we're sharing stories of hope and inspiration. And I'm so thrilled to have our next guest here. Shiraz is an amazing gentleman. He is a multi-award-winning author, an international speaker, and he is a reality interventionalist. He's known to help so many people rewrite their reality and overcome the challenges that they have in their lives by utilizing what he calls energetic magic. Doesn't that sound amazing? Shiraz has helped so many people overcome illness, poverty, and the struggles that they go through. He himself has so many stories of resilience, and once you hear his story, oh my goodness, it will give you so much hope and inspiration. I've also been privileged to be able to be in a magazine with this gentleman. Here's his story right here in our leadership for the legendary leaders that we are both so able to be part of and humbled to be part of. So I want to introduce Shiraz. Hi, Shiraz.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, wonderful. First of all, I know some of our listeners want to hear about energetic magic, but I know you're going to share that part in your story, but we want to make sure that you touch on that, of course. Okay. So as usual, I have 3 questions for you. Again, I just want the listeners, and we're also doing this on Zoom so you can see our smiling faces here, because there's been tough times, and again, instilling hope is just one of the parts of taking what we've done in the past and creating something good out of it. So Shiraz, tell me that story. Show me the story of your resilience from the heartache that you've experienced in your life.
So for me, it started when I was 22 years old. I was in university studying to be a molecular geneticist, and I was a bodybuilder. And this thing, though, I knew what I was going to do with my life, but it was all planned out. The world was my oyster, except the world didn't give me pearls. It gave me arthritis. And I don't mean that things just sort of started to hurt. I mean intense pain in every single joint in my body, so that within a couple of months I was bedridden. And, people may not have gone through this kind of physical problems, but if you have been in the situation where you know what you want in your life, you've lined things up, and then out of nowhere, bam, that plan is gone and you're left scrambling, then I can feel you. I know exactly what you felt like, and you know what I was going through. And it comes with all, like, the questions pop up in your mind, like, what did I do to deserve this? Like, why is this happening to me? Right? And of course, what am I supposed to do now? And for a while, I spiraled down, because it was self-judgment, self-pity, right? I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I thought, if I can't move, like, what hope is there? And eventually I started to get myself out of that. I built up a pain tolerance for the arthritis so I could be functional, but I just wasn't as active as I used to be. And I don't know if you know this, but with arthritics, it takes about anywhere from 2 to 10 times as much energy to do the same thing as a normal person. So I'd get tired really quickly as I went through my days. But I struggled on. I was trying the different things to get out of arthritis. I tried medication. I tried diet and supplements. I started trying things like yoga and meditation. Someone said magnets work for arthritis. I tried wearing magnets for months. And sometimes things would work, but most of the time they didn't. And if it did work, it would only last for a little while, and then it would just stop again. Mm-hmm. I couldn't figure out. I'm like, I'm doing everything I can to get out of this situation, but it's just not helping. And it wasn't until about 18 years later that I met the man that would redefine reality for me. Yeah. I was just looking to get our arthritis, and he goes and redefines in reality entirely. So,
and you've tried so many different things, and that must have been so frustrating for you.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. And I remember at one point where I was just in a lot of pain, and I had just watched Shawshank Redemption. And so there were a lot of negative thoughts going in there, but that line came up, get busy living or get busy dying. Mm. And I'm like, no, I'm going to get busy living. And that really spurred me on to just like create a life despite everything that's going on, right? To overcome it no matter what I'm going to have to go through. And this was not just like the pain of the arthritis. My body was physically deteriorating. The cartilage was dissolving in between my joints. My bones were deforming. So I lost so much mobility. I was walking like a 70-year-old man when I'm in my 20s. Mm. And when I finally met this guy, I thought like it was over in India. So I thought we're going to go over to India. He was going to do some sort of Reiki energy healing kind of thing on me. Because at that point, like that's like my only option as far as I could see. And all he did was talk to me for about 2 weeks, which not what I expected. It was like being with a psychiatrist, only he wasn't trying to solve anything. He was just gathering information on who I was. And at the end of the 2 weeks, he says to me, Shiraz, you believe you're responsible for everyone in your life. Said, no, I don't. He said, oh, no, I know you don't think you do. But from everything you've told me, you've created this belief that you have to be responsible for everyone. And it started when you were 8 years old. I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm responsible for everyone. I know I'm a responsible guy. But even if that's true, what's that got to do with arthritis? That's why we're here, aren't we? Like, so, and he said, oh, well, you don't want to be responsible for everyone. Yeah. And if you're lying in bed in pain, you don't have to be responsible for anyone, and you don't have to feel guilty about it. Right? If people see you struggling just to get through your day, they're not going to ask you to take care of them. The arthritis isn't the problem. It's the solution to the problem you're not seeing. It's like, what? Like, that's messed up. And he said, but that's what most chronic illnesses are. It's solutions to problems you don't realize you're seeing, right? Or you're not seeing. So I thought about that, and I said, okay, so wait a sec. If what you're saying is true, all I have to do is say I'm not going to be responsible for anyone but me, and the arthritis should just go away. And he said, yeah, if you actually believe it deep down. So I said, okay. And I gathered my will, and I said, I'm not going to be responsible for anyone but me. And you know what happened in that moment?
What happened in that moment?
Nothing. I don't know what I was expecting. Nothing happened. But when I woke up the next morning, there was no pain. There was no inflammation. I had more mobility. I could even breathe better.
Wow.
So I'm freaking out, right? Because it's been 18 years at this point, trying everything I can. Nothing works. This guy says, stop being responsible. The next morning, I'm okay. Like, what? Now, to be clear, the damage done to my body was still there, but the arthritis itself just wasn't there anymore. So I could start repairing, and that's what I've been doing since then, is repairing my body, getting more strength, more mobility. But here's the lesson I took from that, and this is the basis of energetic magic. is your mind prioritizes the avoidance of emotional distress over physical circumstances. So it was trying to avoid guilt for not being able to take care of everyone by creating arthritis.
Mm.
And so when I decided I don't need to feel guilty, I didn't need the arthritis. When I started looking at this through my entire life in different aspects, everything started to change. I had only gotten to a certain level of income, and then I stopped. And I thought, well, I just don't know how to do this. But I got coaches in, I'm trying different methods, and I can't get any more income. But then when I used this instead, it said, well, if not getting more income isn't the problem, it's the solution. Well, what's the actual problem? So then I looked back at my life and I said, oh, when I was a teenager, everyone said, Shiraz, you're really smart, you're really talented, you're going to do such amazing things, you're going to make so much money, have the house on the beach, right? You'll be traveling the world, and we get to come hang with you. We get to come hang at your house and travel with you. And it's going to be so much fun. And in their minds, this is awesome. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, you guys are all going to leech off me? Oh, hell no.
Oh,
that ain't happening. And so my mind had created a certain number, which was just over $100,000, where I could be comfortable and enjoy my life, but it's not enough that people can now start taking advantage of it and come hanging out at my house or have to pay for flights and stuff. So that was just me being safe by staying there. When I realized, you know what, I'm going to say no and not feel guilty. I'm not going to worry about being pressured into anything. Over the next year, my income doubled. And this year, it's already doubled from that.
Wow.
Right? Right. We still got 4 months to go. But that's it, because it was helping avoid emotional distress using physical circumstances.
I love that sentence. I love that sentence. Say it one more time.
It's helping avoid emotional distress using physical circumstances.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
So when you want to change a situation, you have to decide, this is what I'm going to create. And you have to eliminate the as long as statements, because that's what stops you from getting to your goals. And so this is what people do. I'd like to have money as long as people don't come up and ask me for money, right? I'd like to be in a wonderful relationship as long as I don't get my heart broken. Okay. I'd like that. Every as long as is, I just don't want this. You don't realize that you're saying that.
It's like the proverbial but. I want this, but that.
So when you're trying to achieve anything, get into this space of, it's going to happen. I don't know how, and I don't care how. I just know it's going to happen. And that's when everything just starts to line up. That's when you start to manifest those possibilities. And the cool thing is, you can think of, okay, I'm going to do it this way, but you're really in the zone when it shows up in a way you don't expect at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So one of my clients just today, she got 2 unexpected checks in the mail. And she's like, this is crazy. Money is just showing up like in ways I didn't. One was a class action lawsuit from a job she had years ago. The check just came in. She didn't even know there was a lawsuit.
And there it appears.
Yeah. So, so when you are in the space that you think like, there's no way out, I'm stuck, I may have lost everything. When you say, you know what, I'm going to get through this, it's all going to work out, I just don't know how, and it's not my job to know it, then that's when everything starts to line up. Now you still want to take physical action based on what you know, but while you're doing that, you're just thinking, it's going to work out in a really cool, wonderful way, and I can't wait to see how that turns out. and that's a much better place than, oh my God, I hope that this works out somehow. It's no, this is going to work out. That's where that true space of hope is that faith, that knowing.
Right? And that's fantastic. Turning that hope into that faith and knowing. Yep. Absolutely. That's a great thing for our listeners to hear right now, is just that next step from, just past that hope, so that you start manifesting the things that you do really want in your life. Great. That's fantastic. And how do you also envision this hopeful future for not only yourself, obviously for your clients that are already been manifesting some of these things, but how do you share this with our listeners as well?
So I'm not quite sure of the question. How, like the ways I do it? Sure.
Well, you were just talking about how, not necessarily the how of what it is, but just
Mhm.
knowing past that hope that there
Yeah.
is that possibility that there are things that they're able to do. So if you can share one point or an example of how the listeners out there can switch that mindset, you got rid of that guilt for yourself and you started to heal yourself. What advice would you give to people out here right now?
So just know that you are a powerful being and you're constantly creating things in your world. It just doesn't feel like it a lot of times because you're creating the same thing over and over again. And you just don't realize that you're doing it on purpose, right? Not consciously, just unconsciously. When you realize that you're doing this and that you've been doing this a lot, you can now start directing what you're going to create. So there's things that whenever something is matter of fact for you, that's when you're in the space of pure creation. This always happens to me. Every time I do this, this happens, right? And oftentimes we do that for bad things. Like whenever I try to create some success, it always falls apart. But that's so matter of fact that you create it. But things I see were very, very common one for people. When I go to the mall, I get the best parking spots. There's no doubt. People just say, no, I always get the best parking. That's just what happens to me. You want that for anything you want, that you really desire in your life. It's just that's just what happens to me. And when you see it, when you start to see the evidence of it, anchor that in. Whenever something magical happens for me, I'm like, because that's just what happens in my life. And I say it over and over. And the more I say it, the more magical things happen. And so it's just snowballs. And it's fun. It's a fun game to play because then you start to see the miracles. And here's where it gets really tricky for some people, but really cool if you really get the space of it. When something bad happens, well, I just created that, and then come up with the reason you created it. There's always a reason, right? And when you start looking at it that way, then you're like, oh, you know why? It's because of this, right? Because we were just talking about like my leg has been hurting, and it's just like because I need rest, and I wasn't going to take it unless I created something physical to say, nope, stop walking, right? So I manifested that, and so that way I'm owning. I create everything. Because when you own, you create everything. You can no longer be a victim to circumstance because you're creating everything.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That was a great tie-in for, like you said, what we were talking about earlier. As a speaker, as an author, you've been traveling around so much. We just keep seeing each other at different events all across the country, and we're just going and going. And this is potentially your way of your body saying, "Hey, Shiraz, pay attention. What are we doing? Let's slow it down a little bit, right?" So that's a great way to look at it.
When we're done, I'm jumping in bed, putting on a movie, and just chilling for the evening. So,
and I love that, and that's a great point. Giving yourself that ability to say, you know what, I'm going to honor what's happening for my body. I'm listening to it. I know that I need rest. I know that I've been, in this hard, tough schedule, and that's what I created for myself. As successful as you are, you still need rest too. So that's a great point to share with everyone, because I think sometimes people just go and go and go thinking it's not enough. It's not enough. And we have to give ourselves that grace to say, we've done what we can today, and we have a plan for tomorrow, or we might not have a plan for tomorrow. We just have a direction that we're going in. And as long as we keep chipping away at that toward what we need or want in our future, we're going to get there.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. So I think that's a great way to end this way of not only taking hope, but beyond that hope. So Shiraz, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing with us, with the listeners, with sharing your story of hope, because so many people have, a debilitating illness and they don't know how to get past it. And it took you, would you say 18 plus years? Goodness.
Yeah. I'd like it to be shorter for other people.
And you're showing them that way. So we're going to put Shiraz's contact information if you want to know more about Shiraz, as well as being able to contact him and share more with what he does. You can definitely do that. We'll set some links and be able to connect with Shiraz. So again, Shiraz, thank you so much for spending the time with us today.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Appreciate it. wanted to take a second to congratulate you for taking the time for yourself, to filling up your soul, your heart with hope, joy, and resilience during this tough time. This has been Hope for Hawaii. Help support our mission to help those that need a little bit of hope and resilience right now in their lives. So like, share, and comment on what has resonated with you and what do you want to see next. If you have a story yourself that you want to share with the world, please go to hope4hawaii.com and share your story. Maybe we'll have you on the podcast next.